This video is going to be a film study focus on Nnamdi Madubuike's performance in the Ravens' 28-14 win over the Steelers on Saturday night in the wild card round. I'm going to focus on Madubuike's play, not just in that game, but recently, and also talk about a particular stunt that I think is one of the Ravens' most effective when they're trying to get pressure with a four-man rush that, in my opinion, is a designed rush scheme. And it's also one that I think they may use against Josh Allen and the Bills in the divisional round. He had 4 tackles, 2 sacks. Really nice. The one sack that he's credited with when Russell Wilson runs out of bounds is a really nice adjustment between him and Owe. Whether he deserves a sack or not, I don't know. You know how those things are scored or pretend to really care. He did have a third quarterback hit that I really can't find the film of. The Ravens had 4 sacks overall on the day: 1 by Pierce, 2 by Madubuike, and 1 by Owe against the right tackle, who he really gave a tremendous difficulty with. Look, Madubuike only had 6.5 sacks this year in the regular season, and some would say that's a down year for him. He had 13 the year before. I think 5.5 the first season that Mike McDonald showed up as a defense coordinator. His quarterback hits were also down. His tackles for loss were not. I think there's moments where we have what looks to be equivalent play. We're going to need him this weekend against the Bills to not just dominate every single play, but make impact plays, whether it's a sack, tackle for loss, forced fumble. Let's get to the film, and I do want to show a couple of plays from the end of the regular season. This is on the road. This is fourth quarter. We're already the game is already determined in terms of who's going to win or lose. But this is a really nice job of illustrating his strength against a right guard that was generally overwhelmed, to be honest with you, by pretty much all of our D tackles. Madubuike is no longer a raw player who's just surviving on potential. He's a refined veteran who has a lot of moves and utilizes them when appropriate. I remember when he was a younger player, 2021, even parts of 2022, consistently being referred to as a raw prospect, a guy who could develop. We certainly developed in 2023 under Mike McDonald's defense, 13 sacks or maybe 13 and a half. This year, only half of that during the regular season. He had 2 against the Steelers. This is some Week 16 film. I think I've got 3 plays here. I want to talk about how he dominates against guards, centers, and guards. You just don't move him, you don't scoop him, and you damn sure don't down block him. There's really not much you can do with him. He's got the athleticism of an edge defender, a defensive end, but the play strength, the core strength of a real defensive tackle. And look, him and Travis Jones next to each other in our nickel defensive sets, I think is one of our best looks because they're strong enough to hold up at the point of attack against interior run schemes, and also athletic enough to get to the quarterback if it's a play action pass or a drop back situation. Again, this is Week 16 is going to be his split sack with Van Noy, and we're going to get into some conceptual talk, something that I prefer that the Ravens do out of their rushes, and that is Van Noy and Madubuike lining up on the same side with Owe on the opposite side. Again, this is a 3rd and 5, Week 16. Madubuike is going to duck underneath, and you will get the end zone angle in a moment. Van Noy is going to go to the B gap, and then he's going to jut back to the inside, actually makes first contact. But the aspect that I like the most of this, in terms of the combination of usage of our players, is Owe on a top side or outside speed rush, which is not necessarily what we get here, and from one side of the field, and then Madubuike and Van Noy working together on the other side. I think that's our most effective 4-man rush. There comes a time where this is the same play from the end zone angle, obviously. There comes a time when you've got to use a 4-man rush because of different coverage dynamics and players you're facing. And I think that is our best grouping, with Van Noy and Madubuike on the same side, Owe on the other, and whoever the 4th guy might be, Ojabo, Travis Jones, Pierce, whatever. Finally, when I refer to scoop, I want to make sure that I'm very clear about what that is. So I'm going to use this play from Week 16 before we get to the playoff video from Saturday. This is third quarter. We're up 17-10 here. And it's going to be a run concept to Jaylen Warren to this side, to the bottom side of our screen, left side of the offense. And you see where Madubuike is. You can't cut him off. A backside run block trying to cut off the defensive tackle is a scoop block. So you're trying to cross his face, essentially, from an alignment where you've lost. And what I mean by that is, there's Madubuike, and the run concept is going to our left. This is the same play from the end zone angle. And so this right guard, McCormick, who didn't play Saturday, is going to try to scoop Madubuike. He's going to try to get to this side of Madubuike such that, and look, the gaps are going to move, so this is going to be drawn well. Warren's taken off on this path, but eventually You'd like for Warren to be able to get through this gap. Why? If the right guard can cut him off, if the right guard can scoop him, dating back to 2021, you just don't do it. Unless you get significant help from someone on the front side. And look, Frazier, I think, is their best offensive lineman. They've got a guy that they drafted at tackle who wasn't able to play this year. Hopefully he gets healthy and provides some stability for them at that tackle situation. But with the center stepping away, this just can't happen. It doesn't happen. And if it does, it's extremely rare. The tackle for loss for Madubuike in Week 16. I think, look, like I said earlier, his sacks were down, his quarterback hits were down, but tackles for loss were not. He had 11 this year after having 12 in 2023. Take a look at 6 plays from our win against the Steelers in the wild card round. Madubuike will be spot shadowed. This is a big play on 3rd and 6. So Madubuike's here, again, lined up on the same side as Van Noy with Owe opposite. Now, the center does eventually anchor down here. He engages the guard and then starts to walk the center back somewhat into Russell Wilson's lap, creating that instability that Wilson just doesn't respond to very well. This is a cover 2 man by the Ravens. And you get a sense of it, I think, here. Once Wilson moves out of the pocket up the middle, there's nobody here because we're playing man on all of the receivers, and then 2 safeties are deep. So it's on a 3rd and 6. Wilson has the opportunity to get here. Madubuike, if you ask me, is one of the guys that will disrupt the pocket early, meaning he doesn't need help winning on the first engagement. He'll disrupt the pocket early and force the quarterback's progression, their mental processing, to have to adjust and essentially destroy the pass concept. That duo over there, Van Noy and Madubuike, I think their athleticism and ability to adjust is going to be a huge factor this week against the Bills. So this is moving forward into the second half. Third quarter, Ravens are still up 21-0. I think that the Steelers go down and score on this possession. Watch him spin out of this and adjust to the quarterback. Additional to that, he's on the same side as Owe, and Owe and him will operate basically like they're connected. Owe will peel back to take the wide receiver running across the field, and then Madubuike takes the quarterback. Like I said, he's going to spin out in a counterclockwise motion, number 1. Number 2, the route coming from the other side of the field is going to be handled by Owe. Clearly, if Owe goes after the quarterback, he's got an opportunity to hit the quarterback, possibly get a sack. But then who covers this receiver coming across the field? It really reminds me of a well-connected, in-sync NBA or basketball defense, such that you cover one guy for a moment and you know your help is behind you or beside you, and then you can shift your focus to a secondary defender because your help, or secondary offensive player because your help defender is able to now handle the guy you were just guarding a moment ago. Hopefully I said that in a way that makes sense. They're just connected. They cover this in unison here, and we'll let you see this a couple of times in terms of Madubuike's spin. He's credited with a sack here, whether he deserves it or not, I don't know. But that's the way that the NFL scores it. I do know that it's an impressive spin move, if you ask me. And the recognition is what I want to take note of. He's got great awareness and recognition of blocks. I'll never forget Brandon Williams talking about when he entered the NFL, realizing that you react to blocks. And if he doesn't react to this block and see things with his eyes, then we don't have a 2-on-2. And so what I mean by 2-on-2, let me make sure you guys have this, is these 2 Steelers players against these 2 Ravens players. I know I probably talk about numbers a little bit too often, but if he doesn't react to this block and the tackle takes him down, then we don't have a 2-on-2. The Steelers have a 2-on-1, and we're in trouble. Now, granted, they did score on that possession. My point is Madubuike is not just an athletic specimen, powerful, extremely fast. He's very smart and aware and savvy at this point in his career. A little bit later in the third quarter, we're up 28-14, and this is going to be right near the end of the third quarter. We actually make 2 stops here while we have a 14-point lead. One in the end of the third quarter, and then the other after Ray came out and put on a show with the dance to get the crowd fired up. So this is a dominant sequence by Van Noy. First, the Steelers have 3 to the boundary, so running back and 2 tight ends. And Madubuike's over there. We're playing man. Watch what happens on the pass play. His recognition, his awareness during the play to get his hand up, knock the ball down, while engaging the left guard. It's not that it's going to be a big gain over there. We're playing man, like I said. Roquan is all over Jalen Warren, if you ask me. But we still got to tackle him. And as a result of Madubuike knocking the ball up in the air, well, not only do we not have to make the tackle, you never know if someone could jump under or could land underneath of the football and make an interception. He's great awareness and recognition. Again, adjusts well on the fly. He's got, I think, an old man awareness and a young man's body, power, strength, and an ability to get to the quarterback while taking contact. Second down and 10, very next play. Notice Van Noy and Madubuike on the same side and Owe on the other. This is going to be the completion to Jalen Warren, where Marlon Humphrey does a great job of covering George Pickens and then peeling off of that to go finish off Warren after Roquan Smith deals with him. But look at the rush tactic, and this is something that I want to talk about in terms of the Bills. You don't want Josh Allen scrambling out to his right. I like this rush against that concept. So Owe to the high side, meaning speed rush, outside rush. Van Noy going underneath, and then Madubuike looping around. So, what you could get is you could get Allen trying to skirt out of there and go underneath of the edge defender, in this case Owe, and then Van Noy running right into him. But Josh Allen's such a great athlete, you can't really predict how it's going to work out in every situation. I'm just offering to you, this has been one of our more effective four-man rushes that allows guys to adjust, Van Noy, Madubuike, who have that athletic ability. Last thing here, Marlon Humphrey on George Pickens. It's a completed pass in man to Warren, and Marlon's just got great awareness. From man, he's able to peel away from George Pickens and go over there and get a secondary hit on Warren, hold him to a 2-yard gain, set up a 3rd and 8. And then same dynamic exists here. You have Van Noy and Madubuike on the same side. The ensuing play, 3rd and 8. He said, we're up by 14. Russell Wilson checking something because he saw Kyle Hamilton walk up and threaten like he was going to blitz. They go slide protection, so Russell Wilson obviously changed the protection. It doesn't work necessarily. Van Noy goes underneath. Wilson's going to peel out of here to the bottom side of our screen. The offense is left, and then Madubuike folds over the top. Watch him battle and fight with his hands. Here, he loses at first. Right now, battle and fight with his hands, and then being able to shed the offensive lineman, get out of there, make the tackles. A huge moment. Like I said, he's credited with 2 sacks. The first one a little bit softer than this one. 4-man rush component on a 3rd and 8. How often are we going to be able to bring 4 against the Buffalo Bills? I don't know. I'm not deep into the film study yet, so I can't make those designations. Because we played the Steelers twice in the regular season, there were certain declarative statements you could make a little bit earlier in any film study stuff like I did last week. Excuse me. In this one, I think Madubuike and Van Noy are a huge factor against this Bills offensive line, meaning we need them to produce. We need them to create pressure. We need them to finish tackles against Josh Allen. Odafe Owe as well. I know that Allen scrambling out to his right is a big deal, so that'll be a film study effort that I try to put together for later in the week to be considered as a preview, probably Thursday or Friday. These 2 guys lined up on the same side have been destructive. Yes, Van Noy exceeded Madubuike's sack total this year, but I think they work well together. The combination of their skills, their ability to adapt and run multiple different rush schemes, I think hinges upon the versatility and experience of Van Noy, don't get me wrong, but also the athleticism and positional versatility that Nnamdi Madubuike offers. Basically, he can line up as a 5 technique D-end and rush against tackles and actually give you a move that works. He had 2 sacks, credited with 2 sacks against the Steelers, 4 tackles. I think these guys can play a big role this week against the Bills. It's way too early to try to get any previews done, but that seems to be what Ravens fans would like to see. So I'm rushing as much as I can to get a focus on the Bills' defense. I've got 5 games filmed that I've pretty much broken down, as much as I can Monday morning before I had to take a break and revert back to Steelers film. So I appreciate you guys' time. If you enjoyed the video, please let me know in the comment section. If you watch this long, like the video. I shouldn't have to ask, to be honest with you. If we put in this much effort as Ravens content creators and you're a Ravens fan, like the video. Another thought that I've had is occasionally maybe you get non-Ravens fans watching the video this long. I appreciate you too. Please like the video whether you're a fan of the Steelers, Bills, or someone else. Finally, if you think other Ravens fans would enjoy this content, my thoughts and some of the film displayed on Nnamdi Madubuike's performance against the Steelers, please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.